And good Saturday morning. Welcome to the Huddle, week number 11, or you might call it week 1, depending on how you want to look at it. Yeah, it's week 11 of the entire season, but more importantly, it's week 1 of the playoffs. Kenny rode along with John Bozica, and we're going to break it all down for you with our teams in and around Stark County last night. And John, kind of a week for Stark County teams in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, not ideal. Obviously, we had 3 teams move on last night. We had Jackson move on with their win over Brunswick. We felt that Hoover was going to win their game, and they beat Columbus Northland and moved on. And that sets up the game that everybody's going to be talking about now for the whole week coming up, with Massillon and Hoover getting set to play next week. And then, hey, Spider Miller. I was talking last night before our game that we did on the stream between Northwest and Salem, and Coach John DeMarco said, good for Spider. He said he's grinding it out there at East Canton, and he got a win last night in the playoffs. So 3 teams move on, and we're happy for the 3 of them. And then to the teams that head home for the year, great seasons for all of them and their coaches.
Yeah, and I guess the argument, do you want to buy, do you not want to buy? Well, if you get a buy, you can't lose. So from that standpoint, right, McKinley, Lake, Massillon, they all advance to the second round now, and we'll have games, and we'll tell you about those a little bit later on, John. But we want to thank our sponsors right from the get-go as we bring you another week of the Saturday morning huddle. That would be AkronAutoAuction.com. Marianne Donuts will have our sweet play of the week coming up a little bit later on. Community One Credit Union will have our player of the week for this week, who had a huge game and a playoff win. DeHoff Realtor, Ty Colucci, thank you. And Dirty Hands Excavating and Restoration. Those have been the sponsors that have allowed us to bring you this each and every Saturday morning. So we thank them and appreciate their willingness to be a part of what we think is a fun way to look back on Stark County High School football every Saturday morning.
It is. We really enjoy getting able to do this. And, it's really a treat every Saturday. I mean, obviously I wake up and I need an IV of coffee to get myself going, but it is a treat to be able to do this. And what's more fun, Kenny, is that we get to honor the kids that have these great efforts and give them the spotlight here through this show. And I know it's not just the sponsors, but all the folks that have helped put this together over the years. It's a good time. And hey, as long as teams keep winning, we'll be doing this on Saturday morning. So next week we have some good matchups. Hopefully we get some wins, and hopefully we're able to, as you said, have a week 2, week 12 version of the huddle.
Yeah, and our schedule for today, coaches that will join us today: Brian Baum from the Hoover Vikings, huge win, 50-6 over Columbus Northland. He will join us around 10:10. Spider Miller, you and I were talking in the green room, if you will, before this started, and he downplayed everything at the banquet, or the coaches, preseason dinner and everything. But here he is, 9-2 after 11 weeks, and a win last night over Lisbon, 28-21. He's going to join us at 10:25. And Jay Rohr, goal line stand. We'll talk about that a little bit later on, as Jackson, coming off a couple of losses, they bounce back. They get a win over Brunswick, 24-17. Jay Rohr going to join us. And one of those bye teams, Dan DeGeorge. We're going to get his thoughts as I'm sure he went and watched to see who they were going to play next week. A scouting report on the Hudson Explorers, who were victorious, and that's who Lake will play next week. So Dan DeGeorge going to join us as well.
Yeah, really excited for all of those teams to move on last night. As you said, Jackson, great effort at the end, a game that they were ahead in for the better part of the game, and then Brunswick kind of kept punching at them and kept coming at them, and it was 17-17. They add a late score. They go up 24-17, and could the goal line stand be a key play that we talk about later? Who knows? Could be. And then, of course, Hoover last night, I had a good feeling that they were going to beat Northland, just outmatch that team, better schedule, better competition that Hoover has played. And as you said, Spider Miller loves to underplay everything that he does. And he called me last night as he was driving home, and he was like, we should be done watching films by 10:25. He said, I hope we are. He said, so we'll join the huddle. So, he's excited to be on here today, and they've got some great seniors. And coaches tell you, Kenny, they always win with seniors at this point in the year.
Yeah, I think they dressed only 23 players last night, but it's
Wow.
all they needed to get the win. Let's run down the scores for everybody from all the games last night. And we'll go in D1, D2, all the way down that way. All right. D1 Region 1, it was Jackson beating Brunswick 24-17. Both quarterbacks played because Lucas Eckerman injured again in that game. Now, before he went out with an injury, 14 of 21, 99 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. Carter Molman comes in, throws 4 passes, completes 2 of them, 82 yards and a touchdown. So it's a nice 1-2 punch that Jay Rohr has at quarterback. You mentioned it. Jackson led, John, 17-3 in that third quarter. And give Brunswick credit. They played in the playoffs last year. Brunswick rallies back, ties it up. Jackson get the touchdown, go ahead 24-17, and then a goal line stand, John. The ball at the 1-yard line. Jackson, 4 consecutive plays. They keep the Blue Devils out of the end zone, get a stop. Keegan Stanley, one of the linebackers, had a big game defensively for them. And so credit to Jay Rohr and his staff finding a way to hold on and win that game in advance to the next round of the playoffs. And maybe the hottest team as we move along in these playoffs, and one you don't want to play if you're the opponent, is the Green Bulldogs. Granted, they're on the fringe, but they're in the Fed, right? So we're going to give them some love. My guy, Sergeant Hulka, Tyson Hunka, the quarterback. When you have a quarterback who can make plays, you can go far at any level, right? 14 of 20, 186 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. He also added about 40 yards rushing. So Green has won 5 in a row. They advance, beating Garfield Heights 21-6. Evan Reed back from injury, right, from a few weeks ago. 5 catches, 73 yards, 2 touchdowns. He also had an interception on defense. So Green right now playing as well as anybody, John.
Well, and the amazing thing about them too, Kenny, is that you look at their schedule, and I've got it pulled up right now. Their loss week 1 to Indian Valley, that's a team that's the favorite to win in Division 4 again this year. They only lost by 7. They lost to Riverside by a point. They were a playoff team. They lost to Hoover by 6. And if you remember that week, it was a goal line stand that Hoover had to make at the end to win the game. And they lost to Jackson by a score of 38-35. So another close loss. The only blowout loss that they took was at McKinley. And we know how good McKinley is on both sides of the ball. So that's a team that's 6-5, but very easily could be 9-2 or could be 10-1. They are that good. They have that much talent. And Coach Mark Geis, round of applause for the man, because he's done a hell of a job this year coaching that team after a 1-5 start.
No doubt, John. So congratulations to the Bulldogs, win in advance, right? Hoover 50-6 over Columbus Northland. John Collins, 4 touchdown passes. Bryson Byer, who had the big kickoff return last week, 3 catches, 96 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jack Andes with another that's all he does. He just scores touchdowns. 33-yard touchdown grab. Carter Lukens, 2 picks, and he also blocked a punt, returned it for a touchdown. So Hoover moves on with a 50-6 win over Columbus Northland. D2 Region 7 as well. Westerville South, man, this one hurts. Westerville South 14, Louisville 10. Louisville had taken the lead with about a minute and a half left, 10-7. 3 seconds left in the game. 10-yard touchdown pass for Westerville South. Louisville's season comes to an end in heartbreaking fashion. They lose 14-10.
You know, I was on Twitter at our game last night. As our game was wrapping up, we were in a timeout before the key play at the end, and I looked at my phone and I saw 10-7, and then I saw the next tweet and it said 14-10, 3 seconds left, and my heart just sunk, not only for the kids, but Coach Cap. We've talked to him so many times this year, and Kenny, we know how much a winning season and how much a playoff berth meant to them, and you know, you want to take that next step as a program is getting back. A playoff win does so much for morale, and man, what a gut punch for Coach Cap and the Leps last night.
Owen DiMarzio caught a 67-yard touchdown with about a minute 30 left from Cody Zahn to give them the lead, but unfortunately they can't hold it. Their season comes to an end 14-10 to Westerville South. But good season for the Leps. All right, we move along to Division III, Region 9. This is the game we did, Freshmark Sugardale Radio Game of the Week. And, John, I'm shocked this morning that the final score of this one was 46-12. Geneva, first play from scrimmage right there. Caden Proy, the quarterback, doesn't throw it much. In fact, in 10 games coming into last night, they had thrown it 31 times. So 3 passes a game. Reminds you of the old Perry wing T offense. Well, similar results, too, when they were clicking on all cylinders. Here's Proy once again with another long touch. He had touchdown runs of 67, 1, 46, and 67 yards. The only real bright spot for Alliance is their outstanding senior quarterback, J.R. Jackson. Had a nice 39-yard touchdown run here. He ran one in later for 14 yards out. But that's it. This was total domination by Geneva. They controlled the line of scrimmage. They did whatever they wanted to do, over 500 yards rushing, according to our statistician, Denny Kincaid. So Tim Goodman and his staff did a nice job, had a solid season, 8-2, first ever home playoff game. Congratulations for that. But they were blown out last night. I hate to say it that way, but they were 46-12. And, when you look at that, it's tough to think, okay, like for Louisville, they felt they should have won this morning, right? I can't say that about anybody from Alliance. That Geneva team was just simply better. Real quick, and we're going to get to Spider Miller joining us here on the Saturday morning huddle. We've got Salem, a winner over Northwest. You're going to break that down a little later, 21-15. Canton South season is over. They lose to Columbus East, 43-14. And let's go right to him right now. If he's, I'm trying to see him in the room. He's not there yet. Okay, we'll wait on.
No, I was gonna say I think he pulled the classic set it up and then go and finish film as he did that. So I think he set it up and he's gonna come back because he's scheduled for 10:25. So he ran a bit of a pump fake on us, Kenny.
Okay. All right. Well, then we'll tell you what East Canton did last night. They beat Lisbon 28-21, a 7-10 matchup there. Dylan Anderson, 2 TD runs for East Canton. Owen McCroskey, 14 of 24, 188 in the air, 2 touchdowns, and they both went to Aiden Stevens. So McCroskey had a solid game, didn't turn the ball over. First playoff win since 2018 for Spider and the guys. Hornets led 21-14 at the half. They go on, get the win 28-21. Lisbon got it to within 7 with a minute and a half left. Onside kick. They fail. East Canton recovers. They improve to 9-2 on the year, and they get to play another week, John. So congratulations to East Canton. So that's a look at the local teams and how they did. If you want to go back, since we have some time as we're waiting on the coaches, John, tell us about your game with Northwest, because I was surprised by the final score in this one. I thought Northwest at home would find a way to win in this contest, but Salem with Ron Johnson, former McKinley coach, gets the win 21-15.
Yeah, ultimately it came down to one thing. Best player on the field last night got them the win. Their quarterback, Cletus Monroy. Cletus, Kenny.
It's my man, Cletus.
Cletus. Bring the name back, folks. If you're thinking about naming your boy something this year when you have him, name him Cletus.
And his nickname is Cleat. He wears the cleats. He's the quarterback, Cletus. Playmaker.
Had a great game last night. He only threw for 48 yards. He had 1 touchdown, though. That completion was a big one. Was 2 for 6, and his other one really didn't matter. But he had 27 carries, 160 yards, and 2 rushing touchdowns. He also had a fumble recovery that he forced the fumble on as well. So he did a little bit of everything. But then at the end, game hanging in the balance, 21-15 the score. Northwest has marched down the field. They were down 21-8. They have this play at the end on a 4th down at the Salem 33-yard line. Venables rolls out, looking downfield, pressure coming, and who but Cletus Monroy picks the ball off, goes down at the 30, seals the game, and the Northwest season comes to a close at 6-5 on the year. How about the win for Salem? They move on some extracurriculars after the game that didn't make some of the Northwest folks too happy. But all in all, a great win for Salem last night, and they move on. And good season by Coach DeMarco. Just tough year for them. They started off so well, Kenny, and I think they just ran out of gas. I really think that was the case.
Well, and a lot of their games were one-score games, John. Early on, they were winning them. Unfortunately, down the stretch, what is that, a 3-game losing streak to end the season? You're in position to win the Pac-7 outright, and you lose 3 straight down the stretch, including the playoff game, and just couldn't find a way to get the job done. So disappointing end to what was a very promising season at one point for Northwest. So, that's unfortunately the way it goes, and Salem moves on. Good luck to the Quakers. Are they the Quakers? Did I get it? Am I right with that? Trying to remember all our nicknames from all the teams that we don't do that often.
They are. I said last night, the funny joke that I said is that historically, probably at like a colony like Roanoke or Jamestown, the Quakers versus the Indians actually did happen. And last night it took place on the field. So if you're a history buff, that's something that you were thinking about last night, like me. All right, we've got 2 coaches in the queue. I know that Spider's moving. He's on his way to film still. But head coach Brian Baum of the Hoover Vikings. Kenny, I got to tell a story here. Coach Baum was supposed to join us last week.
Yeah.
And at 11:30 last week, he texted me and he said, John, he said, I haven't done this since college. I overslept. I literally
Yes, it happens, Coach. That's all right. Ain't nothing better than a good night's sleep, right?
Yeah, that was it. It was needed after that long week of Jackson week.
That's great, man. Well, it recharged your batteries and your team's batteries as well, man. 50-6 yesterday in the first round of the playoffs at home, Coach. Obviously, everything was working. How were you guys able to dominate the way you did?
It started up front line of scrimmage. We thought we had an advantage there going in, and we wanted to take advantage of that. We were able to do it. We got a run game going, and overall, that was our first game where we kind of put some things together for us throughout the game. And we were able to put points on. John Collins had a great night. He threw 4 touchdowns first half. The run game was popping, and the defense, turnovers. We knew up front we had to get turnovers. We were able to pull that off last night.
Coach, all season it's been the case, but being able to lean on John Collins as a senior, how much does that help you and help the coaching staff and help the team?
When your trigger man's doing what he's doing right now, you have potential to play anyone. He's done a great job for us. He divvied the ball out to multiple guys last night. And, we know going forward in the playoffs, you're going to beat a good team. You can't just count on one guy. You got to your cast of characters need to step up, and we were able to do that last night.
His evolution, Coach, and correct me if I'm wrong on this. I remember some things, not all things, Coach, but I'm trying to go back a season or two, right? Didn't he come in because of an injury to Ashby, and he had to play quarterback, and he was a runner? Now he's the complete quarterback. Take me through that transformation of John Collins.
As a sophomore, he was wide receiver. We had Carson Derlin still a quarterback, and he's receiver. Brocker was receiver. Going into his junior year, Brocker was going to be the senior, so we went with him at quarterback. Early week 2, he goes down with a knee injury. We have to move. Now we lose 2 receivers. We moved John in from receiver to quarterback, and he didn't have that preseason that a quarterback needs, and because he was working at receiver. So he went out there and he was a running threat, and he did some nice things, but wasn't a polished quarterback last year. And this year, all offseason, him and Coach Henry got after it. Coach Seglin, they were saying, hey, this is what we're going to do. We're going to open up the offense, throw the ball around. And he took to it, and he has really made himself into a very good quarterback.
Coach, I think that's kind of something that I want to piggyback off of with Kenny asking about that development, but that's something you guys do so well. You developed Carson Derlin. He was a linebacker before he went to quarterback. You developed him into a passer. I think he's playing at the D2 level now. Coach, what goes into that development, and how are you guys able to do that with the most important position?
Yeah, there's a lot of emphasis on the quarterback position, and keep developing. Coach Sigler's done a nice job, and having Coach Henry on staff, it gets a lot of attention. That's important, and we have smart kids. We have a smart guy. He can do a lot of things, and we're able to throw more and more as they become comfortable, and that lets them to develop as a quarterback. But also identifying guys that can do it. You go the wrong direction, you put yourself back a couple of years, and we've been very fortunate with our series of quarterbacks since I've been here. John Keller, Connor Ashby, Carson Derland, And then now John Collins. We had a couple guys that get hurt in between. That would have been pretty good as well. Cade Henry went out the first week in a practice, and then Zach Brock was a phenomenal athlete, and his character was second to none. He'd have been a great quarterback as well.
Wasn't just all John Collins last night. The defense holds them to 6 points. You mentioned turnovers. Carter Lukens had a big game last night with a couple of picks and a return block punt for a touchdown, right?
Yeah, he's really done a great job at linebacker. He's taken to it. A very physical player. When he hits you, you know it. And then he's all over the place. He had a pick, a block punt. The second one, I don't know if it was an interception or a fumble caused and recovered. He stripped it away. So he's done some great things for us, and he's done it all year. He's over 150 tackles on the year. This kid's an all-Ohio type kid at linebacker.
Coach, I know you love a good linebacker, but those Lucan boys at middle linebacker, they're kind of like the Bash Bros, aren't they? They get after it, don't they?
Yes, they do. And, right now we're playing three of them, Chase, Carter, and the little guy Jake. So they're doing great things for us.
Is there more in the pipeline, or is that it, Coach?
I got another one. It's a freshman. Colton will be up here soon too. So it's nice to have them.
How sweet is that as a coach? You just, hey, thank you. Just keep them coming. Just keep them coming, right?
Yes.
Coach, moving forward, we know this week and the magnitude that's going to go into this game against Massillon. How do you get your kids ready for a game that's not just going to have Stark County's eyes, but the state's eyes and everyone's eyes on it?
You have to treat it like an opportunity. This is why we do what we do. This is why we work hard to play playoff games like this in environments like this. We respect a lot of things Massillon does, from their coaching all the way down to the hard play they play. But, the atmosphere that they create. This is where you want to go for high school football, and we cannot wait to go down there and play in front of a hostile crowd, bring the best out of our guys. And we just have to handle that and go down there and play Hoover Viking football for 4 quarters.
Coach, I'm a huge Ric Flair fan, right? In order to be the man, you got to beat the man. Woo, right? So let's be honest. Massillon has been the man in Stark County since Nate basically took over. I don't think a Stark County team has defeated Massillon since 2015 when McKinley and Glen Oak, I think, did it back then. So you have the opportunity to do something special this week. But how do you make it? How do I want to say this? How do you make it not too big, though, right? It's Massillon, and it would be great to beat them. But more importantly, it's your next opponent in trying to advance in the playoffs to make sure your kids don't get overhyped.
Yeah, we're not playing Massillon history. We're playing the 11 guys Massillon puts out there every play. And I'm going to quote my defense coordinator, Doug Burwell, on that. We're going out there. We're going to play the 11 guys they have in front of us. They're high school kids just like we are. They're a good team. We know that. We just got to go out. We have to perform and do our duties to the best of our ability.
Well said.
Coach, I want to ask you this because this has been an issue with you, and you wanted to hurt me earlier this year for asking this question, but health has always been an issue this time of year where you're missing a key piece. How much does it mean to play this game with your 11 guys all healthy, playing at their highest level right now in this week?
Yeah, that if you want to win in the playoffs, it comes down to a couple things. A little bit of luck always plays a role. The want-to factor, who wants to continue on, and health. And the final piece would be turnover. So having the health piece, I don't know anything about this. There's no injury reports on Mass, anything like that. But we're as healthy as we can be right now, and I'm happy for that at this time.
All right, John, why don't you put the graphic up since we have Coach Baum on from Hoover, because our Community One Credit Union Player of the Week is none other than senior quarterback John Collins for the Hoover Vikings. 7 of 13 throwing the ball, 167 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. That's the key stat right there. He hooks up with Bryson Byer 3 times, 96 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jack Andes, a 33-yard touchdown catch as well. So congratulations to John Collins. He is our Community One Credit Union Player of the Week. And, Coach, nice to have a senior quarterback in the postseason and answer the call like he did, right?
I'm so proud of John and his development. After last season, people are like, "Oh, you guys going to do a quarterback?" I was like, "We have a quarterback, John Collins. He was put in a tough position last year, and he battled each and every week, and he made himself better in the offseason with the staff. I'm proud of the offensive staff developing him. I'm proud of the work he's put in there. This guy is a competitor, an athlete, and he deserves everything he gets."
Coach, as always, thanks for waking up with us this week for the Saturday morning huddle. We appreciate it, and Coach, the eyes of the county are going to be on you guys this coming week. And, hey, we wish you guys nothing but the best as you head to Tiger Town for week 12. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me on, guys. What an opportunity we have.
Yeah, we'll talk to you this week on the Kenny and JT show. I'll see you on the sidelines Friday night, all right?
Thank you.
Kenny, that opportunity is, as he said, I love that quote too. He said, we're not playing Massillon history. We're playing the 11 guys they have on the field right now. And man, that's a lot easier said than done, because you go over to Tiger Town and the Massillon mystique truly is hard to beat. And Nate Moore will have his kids ready, but that is going to be an absolute war next Friday. And I know that's our, I didn't even, we were joking last night on the air. I was like, I think that's going to be our radio game next week. I think it's probably going to be the game.
Yeah, it is. And here's the thing. You look at common opponents, right? McKinley. Okay. And Hoover went toe-to-toe with McKinley. McKinley went toe-to-toe with Massillon. It's a different, time of year, and Massillon's experienced in these big games, right? And I think that's what prevailed for them in that win over McKinley for Massillon. But yeah, we're looking forward to that matchup, and congratulations to Hoover and to Nate, right? They didn't have to play this week. They didn't take any chances of getting a player injured. Xavier Owens needed a week off, with his shoulder injury. So it's going to be a great matchup, and we can't wait to bring it to everybody on 1480 WHBC and Mix 94.1 Friday night at 7 o'clock.
So, Kenny, I just looked it up right now, and obviously there's times in the playoffs where you have to make long journeys to play your team the next week. And one of those teams that gets to make a journey maybe to a part of the state that they've never been to before is the East Canton Hornets. I don't know if Coach Spider Miller and his boys, who are joining us now in the huddle, have actually ever been to Fairport Harding. Coach, I admit I didn't know where this was until I just looked it up right now. It's in Lake County, but you guys are 9-2, and thanks for joining the huddle.
Thanks for having us on. We appreciate it.
Coach,
go ahead, Kenny.
John. No, John, go ahead. You wanted to piggyback off that. Go ahead.
No, Coach, what does it mean to be in this point? 9-2, you come into the year, you kind of downplayed things at the start of the year, but what does it mean to be 9-2, playing the amount of kids that you have and having this year?
It's a great feeling. Our kids have great resilience, and they come every day with the will to practice hard and get better. All 22 or 23, whoever's practicing this week, but they help out on both sides of the ball. The kids have been great. Coaches have been great.
Coach, who do you have with you today? Introduce us to two of your 23 players.
I have Aiden Stevens over here, defensive back, a safety, and a wideout. And I have Colby Gubb Schrader, who is the other safety. And both of these young men have done a great job in our secondary. They've totaled over 80 tackles already, and that's not down the field. They're aggressive football players, and sometimes we get caught because of that, but I'll take their aggressiveness. Gubb also is a backup tailback, wingback, wideout, and Aiden's our starting receiver, who has 730 yards and 10 touchdowns this year already. And we're getting a lot of productivity out of these two young men. Very, very proud of them. They study film. They listen, and they get us lined up in the coverages that we need to be in. And because we're doing some different stuff, and it's really worked out.
Coach, this group of seniors that you have this year, this group of kids that you have this year, what's allowed them to continually punch above their weight in big games?
I just think they have the will to get better at practice, and they're disciplined, and they take a lot of pride in what they're doing, and they got East Canton on their jerseys, and they want to make their teammates proud of them, as well as the other kids in our community as well.
For both of you guys, congratulations on the win last night, 28-21 over Lisbon, and either one can start. What is it about this guy that's sitting between you two that makes him a good coach and has this team into the second round of the playoffs, guys?
I don't know. He just coaches us up every day, and he gets us lined up where we need to be. And he just makes us better.
Aiden, what about you?
I would say the experience. Like, he's been here before and he knows what it's all about. And he gets us hyped more than anybody in the locker room every day.
So, Coach, you get him hyped. How do you get him hyped? I'm curious. How does Spider
You
Miller?
don't want to know.
No, I do want to know. That's the crazy thing about it.
You know what? They just respond, and they listen, and they just go to practice and they go wherever needed. They're unselfish football players, all of them. If we have 22 kids, they're all playing someplace, whether it's in a different position on the scout team or not. But these guys in our defense, what we preach is playing fast, read your keys, line up, and play fast. And so we don't want them overthinking anything. Just play. Right. And that's what they've done. That's why they have so many tackles, because both these guys got tackles for losses. They got sacks. They just get to the ball.
Aiden, I want to ask you, going both ways as often as you do, as you have to for this team, what allows you to put that kind of effort in each week and be the player that you are going on both sides of the ball?
I just think, it's not for me, it's for the seniors. It's their last year. And it's fun. I think playing both ways is fun because I get the most out of my high school experience.
Good answer.
That's a great answer. And Colby, for you, you're doing a little bit of everything as well. How are you able to be in peak physical condition to do this week in and week out?
I don't know. I guess I kind of just realized that there are only 22 guys on the team who can actually play, and you just got to do what you can do.
And Coach, with that, in mind, you knew what your roster was. You're limited, right? But yet, to go 9-2, to win 9 out of 11 games with a roster of 22 or 23 guys and still kicking and punching and playing in the postseason. Did you have a feeling before the season started that this was going to be a special group?
Yeah, we did in the off season. They worked hard. I mean, it was probably one of our better off seasons, if not the best since I've been here. These kids, even when they were in their other sports, the winter sports, summer sport, or spring sports, right. They were still lifting. They were still doing the things that we asked them to do. So we had a great off season. And you know what? It's like I said, you can only play 11 guys at once. So if we have 22, we got 22, but 11 can play. And, with our practices, the way we run them, they're constantly moving. We're in shape. I don't think we've sucked air at all in any of our games. I think we have outlasted some people as well.
Coach, getting the chance to go on the road, play a road playoff game after hosting last night and making this trip, what's it going to take for these guys, this ragtag band of 23 guys, to go up there and get it done?
You know what? We just got to focus at practice. We need to line up, like I said. We need to execute on offense. It comes down to blocking and tackling. We say it all the time. You can't worry about the trip. We've already had 3 long trips, Buckeye Trail, Ridgewood, and Newcomerstown. So, and we're going up and we're playing on a grass field, which is fine. I don't know much about the facilities other than that. And you know what? You can't let all that stuff outside we can't control. So let's just go play. Let's work hard this week. They'll watch film this weekend, and we'll just get better, and we'll put them in the best position we can to be successful on offense, defense, and special teams. We'll just get after it.
Coach, you don't want them to overthink, right? You don't want the old paralysis by analysis. Okay, here's what they do. It's 4 quarters. It's 12 minutes. You gain 10 yards. That's a first down. You get it in the end zone. That's a touchdown, right? I mean, you don't want to overthink this. Rely on what you've done all season.
That's what we need to do, and we always say play the next play. If something doesn't go well, play the next play. Move on. Can't linger and worry about what we did. We'll make the adjustments. We've done a great job with that, even with a lot of kids going both ways. when they come off or while they're in the secondary. We're constantly doing different stuff. And
Right.
like I said, these guys have put us in coverages and we've mixed it up, and it's kind of on them. And they follow that. And, obviously I can change stuff too.
Coach, I have to ask the question. You said Colby, did you say Gump?
Gubba, G-U-B, Gubba.
So Colby, I gotta know. We had B-Dog Conley from Canton South a couple weeks ago. Gub, G-U-B. Why Colby Gub Schrader?
Now, where's it come from?
So it's actually nothing with football. I got that nickname when I was like 3 years old or 2. My older brother couldn't say my name, so he said Gubby, and it just stuck.
It just stuck. Okay, Gubby. Okay, Gubby.
Coach, how much fun are you having? This is the first playoff win for I think since 2018, right? So how much fun are you having coaching this year?
It's great. These kids have made it fun, and the coaches, and to get an extra week with them, that's always a plus, and spend quality time with the players and the coaches.
And guys, I got one more thing. This guy's a coaching legend, right? Gub and Aiden. This guy's a legend coaching, right? So what's it mean for you guys to help him back into the playoffs, get a playoff win, and the season continues? What's it mean for both of you guys to be a part of that for your coach?
I don't know. I mean, I'm just happy that we can do something for him again.
It's actually for all of us.
Yeah.
But thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, Coach. You've earned it over the years. We're excited for you. Can't wait to see you guys hopefully bring another victory home next week and join us on the Huddle.
All right. Sounds great. Thank you.
Coach, guys, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having us. Have a great weekend.
Good
Go
luck.
Hornets.
Go Hornets. Sting them, baby. Sting them. Next week, baby, on the road, Fairport, Harding, or Fair. I don't know where it's at either, John. I've never been there. Now, I sent out the wrong Twitter handle for Geneva last night, so I apologize to the Eagles, right? It was the wrong Geneva, and I didn't know a lot about them, and they whooped up on Alliance last night, so I'm not taking anything for granted or going to downplay anybody that East Canton is playing, but Fairport Harding is 10-0, so 10-0 is 10-0. 9-2 is 9-2. That's going to be a heck of a matchup next week.
It is. It is. I know that. Oh, it is. It is. I can't help myself. I always go back to my old favorites. Yeah, it's going to be a great matchup. We were talking before about the kind of comparable score game. If you're into that type of thing, Fairport played Lisbon David Anderson earlier this year and beat them 49-6. That's, of course, who East Canton beat last night by a touchdown. But then later in the year, and this is kind of have to do some math here, Fairport played Ashtabula St. John, and they beat them 21-12. Last night, Malvern beat them 34-0. And East Canton, of course, in Week 10, earned a win over Malvern 7-6. So if you're into that type of thing, it bodes in a good direction for East Canton. There's one good, there's one bad, but it's tough. I mean, you go on the road, as he said, you're going to play on a grass surface. It's an old stadium. It looks really cool. It looks like a great atmosphere. It makes me want to do the game. I know we're kind of debating where we're going to go on the stream this coming week, but it's cool for Spider. This isn't the first time, Kenny. When he first took over, we remember he had those teams the first couple years with guys like Mitch Mitchell, and he had Cody Vacco, and they were making great runs in the playoffs year in and year out, and they always seem to hit Cuyahoga Heights at the wrong time.
Right.
And now there's a chance here. Round 3 of the playoffs could be coming up. They have a winnable game on the road in round 2. It's a great story. It's the best story of the year in Starr County. Besides, of course, Minerva winning the 5 games they did. This is a top flight story this year.
It's one of them, no question about it, John. While we're waiting for our next coach, Jay Rohr, to join us from Jackson, time to give out our sweet play of the week, courtesy of Mary Ann Donuts, and it has something to do with Jackson, but let me tell you about Mary Ann Donuts. Fall means football. It's fall now, and filling up at Mary Ann Donuts is a must From hot chocolate to pumpkin favorites and those legendary football-shaped donuts, Marianne's has the game day gear you need to keep your crew fired up and fed. Whether you're in the stands or watching from home, bring the tradition, bring the flavor, bring Marianne Donuts, a Canton classic since 1947. And John Bozica, as I said, Jackson, a winner last night, 24-17. And a lot of times when we look for the Marianne Donuts sweet play of the week, we want some razzle-dazzle, right? We want some a 95-yard kickoff return. We want a play that, you go, wow, that was something I've never seen before. But there's nothing wrong with a sweet play of the week when it comes down to defense and a goal line stand. And that's what we have from the Jackson game last night, right?
Yeah. Thanks to, of course, our guy on Twitter, the Fitz 330 for this video at the end, and Keon Sports, they provide this video for us. But down at the 1 yard line, 4 cracks comes down to the 4th down play. And what a stand by Coach Jay Rohr's defense and the kids up front, just making one heck of a play here, Kenny. This is really, really good point of attack football, too. Look at how this kid has no chance to break through here. Looked like a safety or a corner came off the edge, too. We got to ask Jay Rohr about it, but just a heck of a defensive stand at the end. It's the most exciting place in times in football, and Jackson followed through.
Yeah, they shot the gap. The penetration, there was actually a fumble on the play. They thought, but no, they ruled him down. Either way, it's a 4th down stop. 4th and goal they had it 1st and goal from the 1. 1st and goal from the 1 Brunswick. And the Jackson defense, not 1, I'm going to sound like LeBron, Chris Bosh and the guys, not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 cracks at it, right? And give credit to Jackson for that goal line stand, and that is our Marianne Donuts sweet play of the week. Defense wins you championships, right? And that won them the game 24-17, allows Jackson to advance on into the next round. And you're right, John. Look at these guys. The key here is the reaction to the snap of the ball. And can you beat your guy? Can you get off a half second quicker than the offensive lineman? And if so, then you're going to blow that baby up. And that's exactly what they did. And they would go on to run out the clock and get the victory and advance to the second round of the playoffs. So congratulations to the Jackson Polar Bears, a huge home win for them and their defense, a big part of it. And their defense has been maligned at times this year, John. They've given up 30 or more points how many times, but not there. They hold Brunswick to 17 and make the play that had to be made.
Well, and what I love at the end is look at Max Cowles here, number 10, comes up celebrating, screaming, just so excited. He shoots past this right side of the offensive line here, too. You can tell he's coming up maybe as a safety and just makes a really, really good play, gets one of the initial hits on the running back there. And, it's a team effort. I mean, it really, really is. And, Jay Rohr was the defensive coordinator for years under Tim Budd at Jackson. And he was a heck of a linebacker back in the day himself under Phil Morrow, and heck of a running back. And I know for a guy that's a defensive-minded guy that, as we said, he could tote the rock a little bit back in the day too. This one made him happy, and I know he's going to be joining us here any moment right now in the huddle. But it's a heck of a win for them, Kenny. They've kind of been faced in a really tough spot this year. They've dealt with injuries all year. Lucas Eckerman has been in, he's been out, he's been in, he's been out. They had to move Corey Jacobs from wide receiver over to running back, and he's had a great year for them. It's a great coaching job by Jay Rohr. 6-5 isn't the sexiest record, but hey, you win a playoff game, and that's all that matters. Your guys are still alive, and they have a chance to go on the road, go to Mentor, a team that Jackson has historically played tough. They have a chance to go up to Mentor and potentially shock the world and beat the 10-0 Cardinals this coming week.
All right, John, while we're waiting for Coach Rohr, let's give some love again to all of our sponsors, because without them, we don't bring you the huddle each and every Saturday morning here during high school football season. And Akron Auto Auction, if you've never been to one, you need to check it out. Chad Bailey and his staff, they do a great job giving back in the community at Jackson. But if you're looking for a car, it's open to the public Tuesday mornings. They have the auction. Check them out online at akronautauction.com. Marianne Donuts. Fuel up with Marianne Donuts and their coffee, their hot chocolate, their cookies, everything. Been around for a while, man. When you're doing something in one location since 1947, 53, 78, that's pretty good. You must have some tasty donuts to be around that long. So thank you, Marianne Donuts, for being a part of the Saturday morning huddle. Also, when it comes to money, Community One Credit Union is always on your team. And there's our player of the week, Community One Credit Union player of the week. That's senior quarterback John Collins from Hoover. Community One Credit Union, they've got the plays that make life easier, from loans to checking, online banking, mobile services to youth accounts, and everything in between. Community One Credit Union, where community comes first and membership is open to everyone in Stark County. So thank you to Community One for being a part of the Saturday morning huddle.
Yeah, our last two sponsors as well, Ty Colucci and the folks at DeHoff Realtors. Thanks to Ty and, of course, Linda DeHoff as well for their great job sponsoring us all year. We just gave Ty tickets this past week to go see the Browns, so he's going to go see them this week, and it's a little way of us thanking him for being part of it. Unfortunately, he has to go see the Browns play, so I don't know how much of a thanks that is. But, hey, enjoy it either way, and thanks for sponsoring the huddle all week. It's been or all year. It's been very kind of them to do that, and it's key. And then Dirty Hands Excavating and Restoration LLC, Brandon Carl, Marissa Carl, the folks there, their motto of getting their hands dirty for a brighter future. And, their son, Cam Carl, he was texting me all week, Brandon was, and he said, John, he said, I got to know. I said, did my son lead the area in receiving at the end of the year? And he did. He was the leading receiver in the area at the end of the year. Cam had one heck of a year. Was between him and the kid from West Branch, Jeremiah Thomas. They kind of went back and forth. That's in the area, but Stark County alone, Cam blew away the competition. He was a heck of a wide receiver and just had an unbelievable year for Coach AJ Sarbaugh. And the Carls sponsoring us here with Dirty Hands, they should be very, very proud of their son for the year that he had out in Brewster.
All right, we told you all the games that took place last night, the scores, the results. Let's tell you where the matchups are as we wait for Coach Rohr to join us. All right, second round of the OHSAA playoffs, Division I, Region 1. Number 11, Medina, my neck of the woods, right? They upset Strongsville last night. So Medina comes to Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium. They'll take on the McKinley Bulldogs Friday night at 7 o'clock. Jackson, with their win over Brunswick, they travel, as John said, to Mentor, who's 10-0 on Friday night. So two teams in Division I still with us in Stark County. Good luck to the Bulldogs. Good luck to the Polar Bears. Division II, Region 5. Hudson will travel to Lake. It's a 5-4 matchup. Hudson, 9-2. Lake, 7-3. Home game for Lake. Dan DeGeorge scheduled to join us a little bit later on. We'll talk to him about that. And Green, a Federal League team. Hottest team maybe in the area or in the surrounding area. They win yesterday. They advance to take on Fitch on Friday night. Fitch is 8-1. Green is 6-5. Division II, Region 7. Huge game Friday night. It'll be number 6 Hoover at number 3 Massillon. Massillon 7-3. Hoover 9-2. And then in Division 7, Region 25, number 5 Melbourne travels to number 4 Monroeville. And more importantly, number 7, East Canton at 9-2 on the road at number 2, Fairport Harding, who's 10-0. So those are the games involving our Stark County teams that we'll be covering for you on Friday night.
Kenny, I almost called you Coach. I'm
right.
getting ready for the next guy that's going to be joining us here. Last night, one of the advantages for some teams was to have the bye. And as you said, is it good to have the bye? To be or not to be of having the bye almost. But, in one of those cases, it was the Lake Blue Streaks. They did get a bye last night. They did not have to play, and they got to go and scout on the road, I'm guessing, at Hudson last night. I don't know if that's where Coach DeGeorge was last night, but we'll ask him because he's joining us on the huddle right now. Dan, thanks for joining the huddle this morning. And, hey, we'll lead right into it. Did you guys scout the Hudson Explorers last night?
Yes, we did. So you were spot on there. My whole staff went, and we had about 20 of our kids, players, show up to watch that game as well. Little cold, a good football game. Better team won. Hudson's a very, very good team.
Coach, the buy versus no buy, right? If you're rolling, you like to play, but by not playing, no chance of anybody getting hurt. And that's something you've had to deal with all season long, right? So how nice was it to have a bye last night?
Yeah, from an injury standpoint, it was very beneficial for us. A lot of our kids got an extra week of rest. It's good for Ty and some other kids that were dealing with some more significant injuries that they were coming back from. From a coaching standpoint, definitely strange. Not a huge fan of it because I'm used to playing and coaching every Friday night. So we actually had practice on a Friday, which was really different. But I think overall it'll help us, at least as far as the physicality piece.
And let me piggyback off that, John, with your son, Ty. He comes back. He plays last week. I don't know if he was on a pitch count or not. I'm guessing he was, but now the week off, practice again. How's that ankle feeling for Ty DeGeorge?
Feeling good. Yeah. He played versus Green. We alternated him defensively every series. We threw him in some offensively as well. And that was just to get him out there and get him back playing again. And I think it was good for him. But as each week goes, he's getting a little bit more of a speed back, a little bit more comfortable. So, he'll be in a much better spot next Friday night than he was versus Green.
Coach, your thoughts? I know we've kind of talked about the bye already, but how do you stay ready? Because that's such a key. It's something that I don't know your kids were necessarily in a groove because they lost to Green, but did it give you a chance to reset?
It did. We really concentrated on just us last week, right? You don't exactly know who you're playing. I had a pretty good feeling it would be Hudson. So we talked a lot about getting back to the basics. Let's concentrate a little bit more on some of the fundamentals that we were a little shaky on in our last game versus Green. Just responding to adversity. Talked a lot about some of the teams we've had over the years that have been 7-3 or 6-4, and then went on a really long playoff run. So our kids had a good week. They were very energized even after losing to Green. I mean, obviously we were upset about that. But the beauty about the playoffs, man, is you throw the regular season out. It's a new opportunity to go 1-0 each week and keep playing a lot of football.
Coach, with all the injuries that you've had, Davis Madsen, appendectomy, Ty with the ankle, and that gave other kids an opportunity to play, gain experience. And now you're as whole as I think you've been all season long, right? Health-wise, and having everybody at least in uniform. What's that mean moving forward in this game Friday night at home against Hudson?
Yeah, no, it's huge skill-wise. Both offensively, defensively, special teams wise, will help us. We've unfortunately lost some other kids. We lost our nose tackle, one of our better defensive linemen early on in the Green game with a knee injury. Zach Kustera was a big part of what we've done defensively. Unfortunately lost him for the year. So that's a big hit. But again, next guy up mentality. We've had that all year. A bunch of our kids have gotten experience and a lot of playing time this year, which has obviously made them better. Some of them underclassmen, which I think is even better for them leading into the future and down the road. And that's the beauty of the playoffs too, right? The more practice you get, particularly for your younger guys, the better you're making your program as well.
Real quick, John, can you give us an update on Justin, Coach? How's he doing?
Yes, Justin's doing a lot better. It's been a long process, obviously, for him. I believe this Monday he's going to start coming back to school on half days, right? So that's a great sign, going in the right direction. Still weak and still his body's still recovering from all that, but yeah, great for him. There wasn't another surgery that had to be done, and he's heading in the right direction for sure. Appreciate you asking about that.
Coach, those injuries and especially the one to Justin, has that been another bonding moment for this team to really come together?
Yeah, I mean, it's you keep getting hit, but we talk a lot about, man, listen, that's life, man. Football, correlates to life in so many ways, and everyone's going to face a lot of adversity in their life in one way or the other. And, finding a way to come together and get stronger when something happens like that. And again, that's easier said than done, man, because it's tough. The worst thing about this game, the worst thing about coaching is when your kids get hurt, they don't get to play the game they love. Right. But it has, I think, brought our locker room a little bit closer together because, when you face a lot of adversity, man, you got to lean on guys that you trust. And, so we're going to continue to do that and hopefully find a way to get a win next week.
All right, give us the. I'm sorry, John. I wanted to get a Hudson because I see Jay Roars in waiting, so we want to get to him. But give us the Cliff Notes version of your scouting report from last night on Hudson. What we can expect.
Yeah, very good football team, very well coached. They're 9-2, or 9-2. They lost to two teams that are undefeated, Wadsworth and Highland, so they played a very tough schedule. I think they're real similar to us in a lot of ways. They have some really good playmakers. Again, very good special teams wise. It's like playing a Federal League team. It really is. So that's what we were just talking about in our staff meeting as we're watching film. Definitely a huge task for us. So we got our hands full.
Coach Dan DeGeorge, we appreciate you. You didn't have as stressful a night last night. Didn't have to do as much yelling or worrying of things as you would normally do. And we thank you for joining the huddle this morning. It's always fun to have you on here, Dan.
Appreciate you guys and what you do. Thanks a lot.
Good luck this week, Coach. There he is, Dan DeGeorge. All right, he had the bye week. Okay, now let's talk to another guy. You meant his number's retired. He played the game. He's coaching the game. He loves the game. So no bye for Jackson, but they get the win last night in the dramatic fashion. Coach, congratulations on that win over Brunswick last night. What was the key to your team surviving and advancing?
I just think sticking together. Again, we have tremendous seniors, some great leadership, and I think in the end, we just made one extra play or one more play than they did, and it just comes down to those things, the little things. Who wants it more? And our guys wanted to continue on and play another week together for sure.
Yeah, Coach, that goal line stand at the end, we just showed it. Take us through that play. It's such an exciting play and so nerve-wracking for you at the same time. Tell us who made the plays on that and who really stood out on that play for the Polar Bears.
I won't lie. I think it was, truthfully, I think it was a collective effort, and there's multiple reasons why. Number one is, I think we did a great job penetrating up front with our two interior guys. Our two ends then, we kind of pinched inside and took away the B gaps, and then our safety, Max Cowles and our outside linebackers, or inside linebackers, excuse me, Jared Kaiser and Keegan Stanley came off the edge on both sides to have him in the backfield. What people don't realize is the play was still alive, and he pitched the ball to number 2 on that video clip. And, really 9 out of 11 players of ours are on the ground making a tackle, and the ball is in the hands of another guy. And luckily our corner comes off his man and ends up making the play in Jackson Baker with Alex Height later. But if our corner doesn't come off, he runs it in, for the touchdown. So again, as you're looking at it right now, we do a great job penetrating, taking away the front. But right here, the ball goes to number 4, and Jackson Baker comes in to make the play. I mean, it was still a live ball. They didn't blow the whistle. So I don't think it was a single man. I think it's 11 guys that literally played to the last whistle, and that's exactly what they did here on this play.
And Coach, it's not just that one play, though. I mean, they had it first and goal from the 1 yard line, right? So you had to stop them 4 different times. And obviously we show the last one because it's dramatic and everything. But what about the 3 previous plays as well, and the ability of your defense, which has given up some points at times this year, to rise to the occasion 4 times?
Yeah, I just think collectively, I think that's just it. We at the time we're looking at the clock. They're letting the clock run down, and so after the first stop, I took a timeout, and we just brought them together and said, guys, we're gonna have to win it right here. I mean, this is it. We are going to come together. We're going to play as a unit right here, and we're going to get a goal line stand. And all the coaches, the defensive coaches, did a tremendous job. Coach White did a great job at calling the pinch and sending the linebackers on a ghost stunt. And I just think that's just it. I heard Coach DeGeorge is talking, and I think a lot of teams, especially week 11 going into week 12, you have a lot of injuries that have occurred, and a lot of guys have gotten in the field, and we certainly have experienced those things. But they're a relentless group. That are coachable. They don't want to disappoint themselves, their teammates, and their coaches, and they just continue to play together. And this is a true thing, as you just alluded to. First down, second down, third down. Again, the video that you showed on fourth down, that those guys just continue to play as long as they can until the whistle blows, and they give it everything they got. And we're blessed to come out with a victory last night on that goal line stand.
Coach, you've had Lucas Eckerman for such a long period of time at quarterback, and he has been such a key piece for you guys, and he's had such a tough year battling injuries. What have you done with him, and what has he done for himself to still be the leader this year, even though maybe he's not having the year on the field that he expected?
Yeah, our hearts go out to Lucas. Even last night, coming up with a growing hamstring issue. I don't think people realize, you're talking 4 years that he's been a guy here. He suffered the ACL injury in week 10 in his sophomore year against Hoover. Comes really back and has a remarkable year last year, to help us be co-federal champs and win, what people would obviously say some big wins against 17-year streak against, Canton McKinley, and then obviously beating North Canton a year ago. He's done some remarkable things, and unfortunately, again, you're exactly right. He hasn't had the year that I'm sure he certainly has wanted his family, us as a coaching staff, and even his teammates. But it's everything that he's brought to the table all 4 years. Whether he's in, whether he's out, whether he's down, he's still a leader. He's picking up his teammates. He certainly, again, you talk about coming back from the ACL injury, putting the time, the effort. Seeing our trainers. The hyperbaric chambers, everything that he could possibly do to always make sure that he's trying to be ready, he's done it. But motivating his teammates, meeting with Carter, talking through things with those, meeting with Coach Bardowell, watching film. It's not just a vocal part; it's his actions, and I think that is what really classifies him as a leader. And I couldn't be more proud of him still.
Yeah, last night, 14 of 21, 99 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. Your other quarterback, Carter Molman, 2 for 4, 82 yards, a touchdown. How key was it, though, Coach, in a strange way, with the injuries during the season to Lucas? Last night, when you put your other quarterback in, he's already experienced success because he's played in the regular season, and you were able to just continue with your offense.
That's exactly it. There's a belief, and that's the blessing with our team. Again, they both believe, our team believes in either one of those guys. They know what we've had to go through this year. They love Eck. They love Carter. They both bring different dimensions to our team. And that's just it. Carter understands that when the opportunity comes for him to go in, he doesn't blink an eye. He certainly has had a little bit of the injuries issues as well. But we have the utmost confidence in Carter, his teammates do, his coaching staff does. So again, not a shocking thing for him going in, connecting with a teammate that he's been with his whole career so far too, and Gino Szymanski, and them connecting on that, I think 65, 70-yard touchdown pass and catch.
Coach, moving forward now, week 12, a team that you have played a lot. You've gotten to know Hudson. You've gotten to know Coach Gray. What makes this year different? What's going to allow you guys to go up there and shock the world against a 10-0 team that everyone is going to be picking against you?
And, John, I think you mean Menor. Menor's 10-0. That's the team that Jackson knows.
Who did I say?
You still had Hudson on your mind because Coach DeGeorge is still in the green room watching the show. So that's why you have them on your mind. So what about the Cardinals, Coach? And you have played them, so you know that I call it fast break football that they sometimes play there at Menor.
Absolutely. Again, you're absolutely right. We know our backs are up against the wall. And Coach Gray has done a tremendous job there since taking over. They got great size up front. They got great skill. And obviously they're a well-coached team. But I can say this. I know one thing for sure. I got 80 plus guys in this locker room that will fight tooth and nail. And they're going to give it everything they got no matter what. There's no doubt. I believe in them. I know what we're capable of doing. Even last night, I still don't believe we saw our best. But again, we're going to travel and we're going to go do the best that we possibly can against a great football team. And where the cards lie at the end is where they lie. But we're going to play for 48 minutes.
All right, Coach, I've got to bring it up, though. There was an incident, a couple of players ejected from your squad, 4 from Brunswick's squad. Corey Jacobs, Evan Beard, both tossed last night. My understanding is a suspension follows an ejection. Are you going to be without those two guys this week in Menor? And if so, how do you overcome that?
Yeah, I'm not sure. We'll see how the cards play out. Again, I don't want to comment too much on last night, other than the fact that a lot of emotions going on, and the want to support and back their teammates up. And I think we all know how that goes. Whether they're with us or they're not with us, like I said, we've had the injury bug all season. We've had to have different guys step in. Should that be the case, we have the utmost confidence the guys that we're going to have to ask to step up and step in. And like I said, again, guys, I'm with you guys. I know there's not a lot of people that are going to believe in what the Polar Bears are capable of doing or what going against a 10-0 team who has high expectations. But the only thing I can certainly assure you is that we will fight tooth and nail. They're going to be coachable. They're going to work extremely hard this week in practice. We're going to continue to focus on us. As Coach George said too, we're getting some experience. We're getting more practices. And these things are all going to carry over for our seniors now, for our underclassmen. But we're going to travel up and play for 48 minutes and give them hell as much as we can.
Yeah, Coach, that's I wanted to ask one last thought. Do you relish that opportunity to be that underdog and be that guy that gets to go and travel into a hostile environment? We heard Coach Baum say that earlier. Do you relish that opportunity?
I absolutely do. No offense, I take things personal. I always have my entire life, and a lot of people, and I don't mean to bring me up, but I certainly know this that I can say is I'm too short. I'm not fast enough, whatever it is, and you got to overcome. And I think that's our team. You're exactly right. We are going in as underdogs, but I think that's also a scary thing too. Really, is it's win or go home for us all. We have nothing to lose. Obviously, Mentor has the same mentality too. They have nothing to lose, but a 10-0 team has high expectations. We're going in as the underdog. We're going to embrace it, and we're going to again do the best we can.
Coach, thanks for getting up with us. Congratulations on a huge win last night. Great goal line stand. Carry that momentum on the road against Mentor, and hopefully we'll talk to you next week.
Hey guys, I appreciate you, and good luck to all the other Federal League teams too if they're still here.
You got it. There he is, Jay Rohr, his team advancing with that win over Brunswick last night, and huge goal line stand. And it'll be interesting to see what happens. And the OHSAA, I'm sure, will announce something about the incident occurred. There was a pile up, pulling players off, and 4 from Brunswick got ejected, 2 from Jackson. So we'll try and get information later in the week on WHBC for you on that.
Coach, Kenny. Wow, my brain is like, it is
not enough coffee this morning, John. You got to fuel up more with Marianne Donut's coffee.
Not enough. You were right about that, Kenny. I'm really excited about week 2 of the playoffs coming up. It's not very often that you get matchups that are just so good in week 2, and all of these ones coming up are. Mentor and Jackson meeting is a great matchup. McKinley and Medina.
No, that's not a great match. McKinley's going to win by 3-4 touchdowns. In that
I was going to say that.
I hate to say that, but I'm a Medina guy. McKinley's that good. Now that one is so, but all the other ones, you're right.
I was gonna say it's not a great matchup, but you didn't let me get there. Obviously, Green going up against Fitch this week. That's going to be a great matchup. I think Fitch is a really underrated team, and Green has been overlooked the last 5 weeks, which is just incredible. Massillon and Hoover. I mean, these two have met before in the playoffs, and I don't know, Kenny, probably about like 15 years ago, AJ Sarbaugh, I think, would have played in the game for Hoover, but Massillon was led by Jason Hall. They had I'm trying to remember who they had on that team, like Bo Grunder, and I think Devin Smith was on that team, and Justin Olak, and Robert Partridge was their quarterback, and Hoover had Eric Howard, and they had Tulojeski, and they had AJ Sarbaugh, and it was a tough, rough and tumble game that was just back and forth at Massillon, and just an absolute brawl out at Tiger Stadium. And I think we're headed for that again this week. That's just going to be an unbelievable game. Coach Spider got me excited for that game they have going up to Fairport Harbor. I think that's an underrated matchup. People really aren't going to talk about it, but it's a great opportunity for the Hornets to continue to have the year that they are. And then Lake and Hudson, that's a regional final level matchup in round 2 of the playoffs. You don't get that very often, but all of these, Kenny, I mean, with the exception of McKinley and Medina, all of them are going to be games this coming week.
yeah, looking forward to those games, and tune into the Kenny and JT show throughout the week. We'll have various coaches on previewing all those games. We'll let you know for sure which ones we're doing outside of, Massillon hosting Hoover, and then the Saturday morning huddle again next Saturday. And let's get out of here, man. Ohio State, Penn State. Let's go OHIO, John. We got to move on here. Let's go watch some college football.
Enjoy the Buckeyes. Go and catch them. If you want to watch it, you can. If you want to listen, it's on WHBC right now as well. And hey, there's no Browns to ruin your Sunday tomorrow. So
amen to that. Absolutely.
So you got a great end of the weekend coming up. Kenny, great stuff as always on the Huddle this morning. Kenny and I will catch you guys next week on Saturday morning.